Welcome to Hennepin County Consumer-Directed Community Supports, or CDCS, Basic Training. The contents of this video are intended for individuals who have been sent the training link by Hennepin County directly. If you found this training and are watching it to help guide your decision on using CDCS with Hennepin County, please know your first steps are to call the front door of Hennepin County at 612-348-4111, option 0, to determine eligibility for waiver services. Or, if you have an assigned case manager, reach out to them about making a referral to CDCS services. You are not able to gain access to CDCS services without following the proper process. If you have received this link from Hennepin County Case Aid, your next steps are laid out in this video. In this training, you will learn key terminology, concepts, and processes that will guide you in your CDCS journey. CDCS is complex. We are here to help you. Feel free to pause, stop, or rewind this video to allow you to fully understand the content. Your case manager can help you with any questions you have as well. We talk about enrolling in CDCS as a journey. As you can see by this diagram, you are still in the very beginning of your journey to utilize CDCS services. Most viewers receive a link from Hennepin County's Case Management Assistant, the CDCS referral email. You have received your next step checklist and training needs. This video is the first video in the CDCS new user training. This video will describe in detail who the CDCS team members are, documents needed for participants utilizing CDCS, what assessed needs are and how to find them, and finally, the average timelines for opening CDCS. The CDCS team members include the participant or managing party, the case manager or the assessor, financial management services, also referred to as the FMS, and an optional support planner. For the initial plan, there will also be a CDCS specialist from Hennepin County assigned to review and approve your plan to ensure that you have a solid starting plan and understanding of CDCS before you are transferred to a contracted agency. The participant or managing party is responsible to understand CDCS and how to navigate it, write or hire a plan writer for the development of the CDCS plan, choose a financial management service that will monitor spending summaries and submit timesheets to. They will also select their workers and hire and train them, ensure all timelines are followed, and communicate an ongoing basis with the case manager and FMS providers any needs as a result of your CDCS planning. The case manager's role is to be responsible to provide budget information annually, approve or deny items requested per policy, and inform the FMS provider of approvals and denials. They also create a service authorization for the FMS to bill all services. They are responsible to help provide direction for service options, monitor and evaluate the CDCS plan and the implementation of the plan, and to review spending summaries to ensure spending is on track for the span year. The Financial Management Service, or FMS, is responsible to bill DHS and pay vendors or the person's individual workers for authorized goods and services. They are to ensure what the person spends their funds on follows the rules of the program and the lead agency approved plan. They also help the person obtain workers' compensation as needed. They can educate the person on how to employ workers, document and report all spending of program funds, and initiate background studies for workers. They file federal and state payroll taxes for workers on the person's behalf. All individuals are required to choose an FMS provider to facilitate the billing aspects of CDCS. The link to current FMS providers is located on the Hennepin County CDCS website. The final member of the ongoing CDCS team is the support planner. The support planner role is optional. This is a paid provider who will write the individual's CDCS plan in a way that meets Hennepin County's requirements and supports the person's needs. The support planner tasks could include, but are not limited to, providing information about CDCS and provider options, apply person-centered thinking and planning principles to facilitate the development of the person-centered Community Support Plan, or CSP. They also develop a quality CSP that includes all required components and information required for your case manager to authorize CDCS services. The support planner ensures the CSP is developed based on the assessed needs identified in the person's min-choice assessment. The support planner submits the CSP to the lead agency for approval. They implement, monitor, and evaluate the approved CSP and budget on an ongoing basis. They modify the CSP as needed, including revisions and addendum as requested by the managing party. They help and teach the person to recruit, screen, hire, train, schedule, and monitor workers. They can also provide information about community resources related to the CSP. Hennepin County has been updating the CDCS website to offer more information that will be helpful to CDCS users. Please continue to check back as the website will be happening in 2024 with new updates. On the website, you will find resources to choose an FMS agency, a support planner, how to write goals, links to CDCS policy and waiver criteria, and all documents needed to manage your CDCS plan. The section with new user info will have everything you need to get up and running. The remainder of the site has detailed information and other nuances of CDCS. The next section of the video, we will be reviewing all documents needed to be submitted to Hennepin County for your initial plan. The following forms need to be completed and signed by the person or guardian to the Hennepin County referrals email in order to be assigned a CDCS specialist to review your initial plan. CDCS Community Support Plan with signatures, the Health and Safety Plan with signatures, and if using a support planner, a release of information for the support planner along with the support planner agreement signed by the person or guardian and the support planner's valid certification from DHS. In this next section, we will review the CDCS Community Support Plan and how to fill it out. The CDCS Community Support Plan can be found online at Minnesota eDocs. When searching, you can search for the DHS 6532 and it will bring you to this page. You can either click to complete the form electronically or click to print it and complete it by hand. When you click to complete the form electronically, you may come to a blank page here. If you hit the refresh button, it will populate. When you complete the form electronically, you're able to fill in the boxes with all of the information needed, along with typing out the details of the individual receiving services. As you can see, this is a 10-page document without details in it. Sometimes these expand to 15, 20 pages long once all of the information is in there. Please note that when you do use this form and fill it out electronically, when you put money and amounts in these boxes, it will do the calculations for you. If you print it and complete it by hand, you will have to do these calculations by yourself. One thing to note is that at the bottom of the page is a place to sign. Before you sign this, save it without signing. Once you sign it, it becomes more difficult to manipulate the information in the plan. So by leaving it unsigned until you're ready to submit it will be in your best interest. Now, Hennepin County has created a prompt for users, and this can be found on our website, basically taking you through the entire plan and kind of prompting you with what needs to be completed in each section. The hope is that this will decrease the frustration and back and forth between the participant, guardian, and the CDCS specialist to ensure that this is completed in its entirety. So little tips and tricks in here. Please feel free to look at it. There's also some areas explaining what needs to be described in each of the likes, dislikes, or diagnoses, how to list what services that you want, and then examples of goals, like how goals should be written. It is important that all of these areas are covered when writing a goal, and that all of the assessed needs that a person has based on their min-choice assessment are outlined and covered in the CDCS CSP to ensure that they are getting services that will support them to be successful. Health and Safety Plan is a document that highlights all risks to the individual and how those risks will be addressed in a paid or unpaid capacity. There are two ways to submit a health and safety plan. Both ways will be reviewed next. This is an example of a CDCS health and safety plan that can be used in conjunction with the CDCS CSP. What this plan identifies is where the person is at risk, what the concern is, and then the safety plan to support the individual with that risk. When it comes to the safety plan, it is not enough to say that staff or caregivers will monitor for safety. It is important to have details about what will be done in order to avoid harm or risk to the individual. It's also known that, like humans aren't perfect, and that, this is definitely something that is worked on throughout the day. So, for example, for this eating only edible objects, that the staff will present sensory chew to Jack to trade for the inedible item. Obviously, this is challenging, for an individual who does put things in their mouth frequently. So it's just kind of important to know that, yes, you're aware, but to say that a caregiver will monitor Jack is not enough, because Jack likely will not be monitored eyes on 24 hours a day. There are times when caregivers have to use the restroom, cook dinner, all of those things. So just kind of what is being done to provide a safe environment for the individual. Another example is when it comes to like eloping, that they wear the GPS watch. There's access to the application so that he can be located. To say that he will be monitored at all times, if the min-choice assessment says that he is at risk for elopement, it means that there have been opportunities in which the individual has eloped, which means that the individual was not monitored for a moment. Like, again, if the caregiver is going to the bathroom or cooking dinner or something like that, we know that life happens. And so what is the plan if the elopement does take place to ensure, that Jack or the individual can be reached and found quickly? So that's kind of the thought behind this is, like what is specifically going to be done for that specific individual when it comes to ensuring their safety. At the very bottom of the CDCS CSP, there is also a section that is labeled Health and Safety Plan. In this area, there's not the nice prompts as listed on the Hennepin County one. It's just a blank box. So in this box, it's important to indicate in the event of an emergency where the primary caregiver is not available. So say the primary caregiver becomes injured and cannot bear weight or do any lifting. What is going to be the plan so that the person receiving CDCS services can continue to live in their current environment, or what is the kind of contingency plan should the primary caregiver become incapacitated? So that's what will be indicated here in this section. There is also a place for 2 emergency contacts. Please do fill those out. This would be if the primary caregiver is unavailable. So it is nice to have 2 separate people in addition to the guardian or managing party listed at the top of the plan. If you choose to use a support planner, the following are examples of documents that need to be submitted with your CDCS support plan to be reviewed by Hennepin County. If you choose to have a support planner help write the plan, there are 2 things that need to be completed and signed and submitted to Hennepin County when you are sending in your initial CDCS plan. The first one is a consent or release of information. This is a Hennepin County version. Sometimes the support planner has their own version of a release of information, which also works as long as it states that the support planner can release information to Hennepin County and Hennepin County can release information to the support planner. Their specific release of information will work as well. Basically, you're just going to fill out the information on here, who the support planner is or what the agency is, and then what is allowed to be released to them. Make sure you're clicking on the boxes, and then in the end, signing and dating. When you are signing these documents, they need to be signed in person. So like a handwritten signature or done through a verified signature source such as DocuSign or Adobe Sign. The other item is the support planner agreement. This is an example of one. All support planning agencies have their own. This one, they are able to fill in the top section, and then in the job functions, as a person or a managing party, you're able to decide what all you want the support planner to help you with. If you don't want them to help with, say, ongoing changes or addendums, you can keep this box unclicked. If you want to be able to write your own job description, you can definitely click and unclick this box. Some support planners also have things on here like will help advertise for staff or will help train staff, that sort of thing. You can definitely pick and choose which of these services that you would like assistance with. You do not have to choose them all. And then again, making sure that you are signing and dating either via a certified signature application or with a handwritten signature on the document. We are not allowed to utilize typed in signatures as a way of verifying that your signature has been completed. Many people have a hard time finding the assessed needs on their MnChoice assessment. The first thing you need to do is ask your case manager or assessor for copies of all MnChoice assessment documents. If your MnChoice assessment was completed in MnChoice's 1.0 or the old tool, you will be requesting the CSP, the CSSP, the assessment report, full eligibility, and the PCA report. If your MnChoice assessment was created in the new tool, or what's being referred to as MnChoice revision, you will ask for the assessment summary. The following information highlights both the 1.0 and the revision tools information on how to find assessed needs. This is an example of the MnChoice 1.0 or the old tool assessment report. As you can see up here, this is the assessment report. So when you are reviewing this, when you scroll through, it talks about like description of what they like doing, where they want to go, that type of stuff. You can skip through all of that until you get to the section for activities of daily living. So this is where you're going to see the assessed needs. So do they have difficulties with eating? Sometimes. If it says sometimes, yes, then you're going to want to be addressing that in your CDCS CSP. So what do they need? It says they need intermittent during the task, not physical assistance. So that means that they need some verbal cues. So when it says here they're able to physically feed themselves, but needs reminders to slow down and to wear her upper dentures. So this is where you will indicate that in the CDCS CSP to show that caregivers will ensure that this is happening. So you can go through the different ADLs. So that was the eating, and then there is, this is the bathing. So this document is a little bit harder to navigate, but it gives the actual details of what they need according to the MnChoice assessment. So that is, and then after the ADLs, there is a section for then the IADLs, and so the IADLs, and then behaviors as well. There's also the MnChoice's full eligibility summary. So this one is a little bit more written narratively, so you can kind of read through this. It talks about the ADLs and IADLs where the needs are, health, and then the this also then just kind of explains what waiver programs they are eligible for. The MnChoice's report, or the PCA summary, is where it can talk more about what they need for support. So here, when it talks about behaviors, so is it present? Yes. What intervention level is needed? So there's responds to redirection, there's does not respond or physically resists redirection. And if this says yes, that it's happening, you need to be addressing these behaviors and how the caregiver is working with the individual in the CDCS CSP. Same with when we're looking at the ADLs. Right here. So this is saying, you can see this. So the headers here, physical assistance, physical assistance and whether or not it's a PCA dependency. So if they don't need physical assistance, it's not going to be a PCA dependency. So, but you can see that Jane does need cueing and supervision during eating. So again, this is where you're going to want to make sure that you are describing what Jane needs help with in eating. Bathing. She does not need physical help in bathing, but she needs reminders to shower. And then limited assistance in toileting. So what does that look like? What physical assistance is going to be done? How are staff going to help? That sort of thing. And kind of explain that in your CDCS CSP as you are doing that. So those three documents are the Min Choices 1.0 documents. The Min Choices revision documents, or the new tool, are a little bit less user-friendly. But basically, so this is another example. Lindsay Van Halen is not an actual person. This is all made up. So the names are there, but it's all made up. So basically, you are going to review. It's a lot more written in a narrative way. But if you scroll down through this assessment results, so in household management, this is where you can see kind of what she needs as far as the different areas of housekeeping and things like that. Eating, again. But if you continue to scroll or go down, here is the charts that talks about what level of assistance that they need. So she needs physical assistance from another person. So in dressing, in grooming, she does it independently. In bathing, physical assistance from another person. So what does that look like? You're going to explain, does the caregiver hold their hand out so that Lindsay can take their hand and help them in and out of the shower? Does she need help washing her hair? Does, like what does that physical assistance look like? It can be something as simple as offering a hand to step in and out of the shower to like completing full bathing cares. So if any of these say yes, you are going to want to address that in your CDCS CSP. Same with the IADLs. This kind of breaks it down more. So completes with assistance or instruction throughout the activity, minimal or intermittent supervision. So you're going to want to make sure, visual and verbal reminders. What does that look like? Does she have a Medi set? Does she have an alarm set on her phone? Do staff, just set them out on the counter so she can visually see them? You're going to want to be detailed like that in the CDCS CSP. And then same with behaviors. It's a little less detailed on the revision tool, but it it does show you kind of where she's at and what she needs assistance in, and wanting to make sure that you're highlighting that in the CDCS CSP. There are other documents for the revision tool, and they can get kind of long, but it is important for you to read them. Your case manager and the CDCS specialist will be looking at these documents to make sure that all assessed needs for the individual are addressed in the CDCS CSP, to make sure that there are services, either paid or unpaid, to assist them in their assessed needs. So again, these revision documents, they look a little bit different, but definitely don't be afraid to dig in and read them and highlight them and do what you need to do to kind of find the information that you need to write your CDCS CSP. Users often wonder how long it takes to open CDCS or transition to CDCS. This question is difficult to answer as it changes for each person. Once the initial training is completed, the next step is to write the plan. The person or managing party is responsible to take that next step and complete the plan writing either by themselves or by hiring a support planner. The time it takes to complete this step indicates how long it will take to begin using CDCS. Once the plan is written and received by Hennepin County, we have 30 days per policy to review and approve the plan. With that in mind, once the plan has been received, CDCS will begin within about 45 days. Per policy, within 30 days of receiving a plan, Hennepin County will either approve the plan, recommend changes needed to approve the plan before a final decision is made, approve part of the plan, or they will deny or refuse to approve the plan as written. You will work with your CDCS specialist to update and create a approvable CDCS plan. For budget calculations and service transition ease, CDCS starts on the first of a month. With the 30-day approval timeline, it gets a bit tricky if the plan is received in the middle of the month. In those cases, the CDCS specialist will determine the start date based on the needs of the specific situation. Now that you have a basic understanding of key information with CDCS, your next steps are to choose your FMS, decide if you're using a support planner, and to write your plan. The next video in the series is on budgets and understanding where they come from, how they are applied, and limitations your program may have on the usage of them. If you are deciding to write your own CDCS CSP, please watch the training on CDCS CSPs. This will give you all the information on what is required in your CDCS CSP so you are able to write an approvable plan with ease.